Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like jumping on the Confederate flag question is not something I want to do because it's like it's very settled, right? The Confederate flag represents what it represents.
Mhm.
You know, I think sometimes when you look back and you watch things though from the 60s and 70s, you do have to understand that there's a bit of complexity. For example, like the Young Patriots organization in Chicago, which worked with the Black Panthers to fight against Mayor Daley, like they wore the Confederate flag on their armband, right? That's not to excuse it because the members of that organization have now come back and have apologized for it. It's just like, maybe looking at it, understanding that, it's not that there's complexity. It's just is that like sometimes the intention gets muddled. But that being said, I think going on today is a different question. And, it's funny to see like the flag question, Jamie, I got in a fight with, I hope this isn't getting too off the rails, Ben. I got on a Twitter fight with this guy who runs a blog called Saving Country Music, which I was very excited to read when I found out about it. But he was writing an article basically saying like, oh, which one of your favorite country music artists is a conservative or a progressive? And he he tells the story about how Jamie Johnson, who people who don't know is a really great, contemporary country music artist, I think actually in the old school outlaw style, who shut down a concert of his. This is probably like 3-4 years ago, because somebody in the audience was waving a thin blue line, American flag. And he shut down the concert because he says, I don't know what kind of flag that is. If you don't get it out of here, I'm not playing anymore. Anyways, the author of this piece, who runs a pretty famous like country music blog, was saying, oh, well, look how right-wing Jamie Johnson is because he's defending the American flag, because he's saying that, it's this like deviation for the red, white, and blue is, offensive to him as a soldier. So it's a very difficult thing to deal with, like the kind of symbols that go on around country music, because it's so much a part of the very incoherent symbols that you see in like working class and rural America, which is why, I don't know. I don't want to dive into that. I think that'd be a little bit of a distraction, but it's just like, it is like such a part, like country music is a fun thing to analyze and to be a part of the culture, because it very much is in touch with a significant amount of the population that doesn't get sort of analyzed or talked about seriously.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to pivot from that and from Matt's surprisingly strong defense of George Wallace that I heard.
I know Liz Brunig, we're not like best friends or anything, but I know she took flack for saying, something about George Wallace. It was like, well, maybe some people liked him because he thought they shouldn't go hungry. Yeah. And that exists alongside his horrible racist views. And so I do not want to be canceled for this. I'm reiterating, I'm not defending any of this, but well, can I say one thing, Ben, that maybe will help you kind of move us beyond this impasse?
Yep.
I think it's, and it gets to, I'm reiterating this, but even if the Confederate flag is not complex, I think the people who might sometimes wield it are. People are complex, is what I'm saying. And I when I said in my essay that I was partly pushing back against, say, the right-wing caricature of a Promethean sort of perfectibility progressivism, that's true. But I'm also speaking to the left in a way, and would say something like, people are complex, and that should not be an excuse for, while excusing really terrible, using racist symbols, being racist, kind of, I'm not defending any of that, but I would say that because people are complex, we need to think harder. And I mean more maybe a sort of like progressive, modern progressive sort of, I'm not necessarily talking solely about the left here, but if people are complex, what does forgiveness mean?
Right.
Actually, I think this is why Michael Brooks' comment, what did he say? Kind to people, hard on systems, really resonates with me.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody's got a story, right? And that doesn't mean that we should forgive everyone, because I think some people are probably irredeemable. But you're not going to win a lot of converts by being an asshole.
So we'll just, I mean, that kind of, if people are complex, and country music gives us a way into that, and we see people fuck up again and again, including the artists we love sometimes. What does forgiveness mean, or what does it mean to treat people as the complex beings they are? And I think especially in the context of politics, it could mean something like these people who seem like they can't be reached, or I'm not talking about trying to convert everyone, but just like, what does it mean if we want the country to move in a certain direction? If we want people who live in our society to be treated better and have a political system and a healthcare system and economic system that meets human needs and puts people above profits and all that, like what does it mean to deal with people who are complex and move them in our direction? How do we speak to them? What kind of arguments do we make? And I would just say, to that end, one of the things I like about country music and that I got at in my essay too is I think there's a rich moral vocabulary that the language of sin and redemption, the language of failure and forgiveness, right? The language of, well, as Waylon put it, getting back to the basics of love. You know, like how often do you hear politicians talk about love and faith and hope and all those things, right? Like one of the things I actually have a soft spot for with Biden is, even it's a bit of a cliche, but the Kierkegaard line, faith sees best in the dark. I don't know. I think that kind of a rich moral language is one the left needs to think harder about too. And I think some of what we're getting at maybe is an entry point into that. So I didn't mean to derail things, Ben, but I thought that was
just to add on to that, like, listen, like if you want to radicalize somebody, like have them listen to The Man in Black, like have them listen to Oni, right? Like there's so many of these great, you know, I don't even have to limit it to Johnny Cash. Like, you know, there's so many of these great country, you know, serious songs too, not like on the backtrack, like, you know, the mainstream songs that everybody knows. They're quite radical in their lyrics. I think both, and I love your point
Haggard,
too.
Right? I mean, Branded Man.
Yeah, no, Branded Man, that's a great one.
Yes.
And, you know, Merle Haggard is one of those people too, who's like, is too maligned, I think, along like left wingers who like country music, because Merle Haggard was really singing songs about a class of people who, you know, we definitely need to be, you know, supporting and uplifting right now, which is the prisoners in the United States. You know, like you don't have to dig that deep into country music to be able to get to the radical soul of it.
No, for sure, right? And I loved Matt's essay. I thought it was really beautiful, but the one half a nit that I do want to pick with it is about there are a couple of references in the essay to Okie from Muskogee, and in both cases it seems to sort of treat it, you know, they're both in passing, but you know, but you quote, right, of course, you know, we don't let our hair grow long and shaggy like the hippies out in San Francisco do, and I think that it seems to be taken as this kind of surface reading that this is like a conservative anti-hippie song, and I think that there's a pretty strong case to be made that in context that's not really what's going on there.
Sure, I have no I don't think I disagree with you, and in fact probably the main substantive reference to that song is when Richard Nixon asked Johnny Cash to play it, bizarrely. So I was saying that like Richard Nixon liked this song because he read it in the kind of super. I'm perfectly willing to admit a certain like ironic or almost a purposeful caricature or something at work, or just a more complex reading of it as possible. But my reference to it was the bizarre. I mean, imagine being Johnny Cash. Right, like the greatest country singer in the world at that time, or most famous country singer in the world at that time. You show up to the Nixon White House, and he asks you to play, you know, a Merle song.
Yeah.
But then Johnny's reaction is one of the all-time great replies ever, is to launch into the song "What Is Truth."
Yeah, and then
which is a very radical song too.
Yes, a radical song, and I mean, talk
about the Ballad of Ira Hayes, right?
Yeah. Talk about giving the finger to Richard Nixon. That took guts. You're at the White House. He asked you to play a song and you launch into What Is Truth? You know, not bad.
I mean, Johnny Cash is a treasure trove of like, you know, just radical opportunities. I mean, the fact that he played, you know, John Brown, I think shows in North and South, you know, a bit of his politics. But, you know, I mean, like, it is the difficult thing about doing any kind of song that's you can, you know, take as satire or ironic, right? You know, Okie from Muskogee is obviously like, I would argue, is probably Merle's most famous song, right? Or at least it's one of the best known songs. And it did a lot of good. It also did a lot of bad. Another song which isn't as famous, but if you go to Honky Tonks, is constantly on, Redneck Mother, which is also incidentally one of my favorites. But it's one of those times when I'm like singing, especially when I'm like outside of Austin and like smaller towns, and I'm singing along. I have a feeling that everybody might not be getting the same kind of read on the song, right? Because if people who aren't familiar with the song, it's basically about beating up hippies. It's a play on Okie from Muskogee, but it's written by this guy Ray Wiley Hubbard, who's this long-haired hippie who is definitely the person who's the target of the song. It's just a joke song, but you get that feeling when you're out in the honky tonks that they might be serious about the lyrics. So that is the difficult thing about, especially in country music, but in art in general, about doing anything that's kind of satirical, is that people will take you for your word.
And I mean, some of that's just that people enjoy artistic depictions of them, regardless of the intentions of the artist, right? I mean,
that's true.
There are lots of hardcore gung-ho jingoistic Marines who love Full Metal Jacket. There are gangsters who love all of the Scorsese movies.
Right.
So at a certain point, it's just going to have that other life, right? Because it's people, enjoy seeing themselves in these works of art, and they'll take it the way that they're going to take it. But I really like what you said earlier, Matt, because I think that part of the problem with like the music blog that Griscom was talking about earlier, right, where you're sort of trying to do this thing where you say, okay, like which one of these artists are good guys politically and which are bad guys. Let's separate out the sheeps and the goats. Is that if it were really that easy, I mean, I think it probably wouldn't be worth much as art.